95.7 The Hog, the homegrown happy hour is underway. Rings of Guys Brew Review, Vinny S.R. Parat. Vinny,
what's going on?
Let's call the Dogfish.
Come here, little one. Come here. You're such a cutie.
Oh.
All right.
I'm not sure that's how it works, guys.
I'm going to have to pick that up off the floor. Vinny.
Yeah, hey, that's not mine, by the way.
Look at all the people behind.
We got some awesome people here today, and I'm going to tell you what. Guess who I brought?
Who?
A little brewery you guys may have heard of called Dogfish Head.
Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
Yes. I have financially supported Dogfish Head for years.
For years and years and years.
It's a lot of my money.
Absolutely.
But they brought me a lot of happiness, so it's fair trade, I think.
It's a fair trade.
Yeah.
You're happy, they're good.
Yeah.
Everything's all set. So we've actually got Chuck and we've got Derek from Dogfish Head.
Gentlemen.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
And I don't know if you guys remember my assistant Krista.
Who?
Hey, Krista!
Oh, hey.
All right, good. Woo! Krista, are you mute, Krista? Is that why you don't talk?
We
All right,
done it.
yeah. All right.
We're gonna get, she's all subtitled.
She's all subtitled right now, absolutely. And we can't subtitle what she just said to me. All right.
It's like a good foreign film.
Absolutely.
Wow, there's a lot of beer in front of you.
I think we're going to have another record one. I actually have two more in the cooler that we're getting cooled down that I brought. So we're going to pull those out at the end as a surprise.
Okay, I like that.
Absolutely. So the little bit about Dogfish Head, if you guys want to give us a little bit of history on it.
Yeah, for sure. So we started in 1995 as the world's, really smallest brewery. We started on a, 10-gallon system. Sam Calgione, our founder, was brewing, really almost every night. And we had this little place in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And from there, we've grown now to the 12th largest brewery, still family-owned, independent. And we are brewing at just over 250,000 barrels.
Sounds about right.
Nice.
That's a lot of barrels. So we always talk about names and stuff, and I kind of know the history of the Dogfish name. I think it's pretty cool. Do you want to go ahead and give us a reason why it's called Dogfish?
That's a question we get a lot. Where did our name come from? So the story kind of starts before the brewery, and Sam was working at Nacho Mama Burritos.
Nacho Mama.
Yeah, so a cool little spot, and he fell in love with craft beer for the first time. He had Sierra Nevada Celebration and a beer called, I think, Schmay Red. So he fell in love with beer. Never had this type of beer before, and from there he learned how to brew. He was I think it was the manager of the shop kind of taught him how to brew. And on his first brew day, he goes down, driving down the side of the road, and sees some cherries, and he goes, "Oh man, this would go good with my pale ale." And so already from the start, he was kind of looking for some exotic ingredients to put in beer, and so he made the beer. The beer, I hear, was amazing. He stood on top of a table at his party and said, "Dude, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, leave school and I'm going to become a brewer." So he had to tell his parents. He waited until they were on vacation right in Booth Bay Harbor, Maine. So there's a little point, Dogfish Head, if you think of like Hilton Head.
Oh.
And then so he told his family. His family gave him the blessing and said, "Hey, Dogfish Head would be a great name for the brewery." So from there, the name was born. Didn't keep him, kind of located in any area. He could go anywhere in the country and the name would resonate. So, he found his significant other, Mariah, and her family resided in Delaware. So hence we made the trip down to Delaware.
That's awesome. See, it's cool. Perfect. We talk about how people come up with names, and sometimes it's just right out of the blue with the whole situation.
Geography. I know geography would be a part of this too. I feel like I'm learning stuff.
Absolutely. Every week we try to teach you something about geography. You remember?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next month, archipelagos.
Yeah,
whole month long.
All done. I'm not really good. I'm not really good at geography. Math and I don't get along, but we can go from there. So the first one, speaking about math, is we're going to start with Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA. So if you want to give us a little history on why it's called 60-minute, and then you can just let us know a little bit about the beer profile.
For sure. So 60-minute IPA is a very well-balanced IPA. The name comes from the time that it's boiled and the continual hopping process that we've kind of, coined, trademarked. Sam's the founder of that process. So to go a little bit into that, regular beer, normal beer is hopped 3 times during the boil. So you'll add hops like at the beginning, in the middle, and then at the end. And what we do is we add the hops throughout the entire boil of 60 minutes. So what you get is a very well-balanced IPA, a little bit of citrus notes from the hops, followed by a clean, crisp, well-balanced flavor. So it's really flavorful in the hops without being crushingly bitter.
Isn't it true that he started, the machine was a football game from the 70s that vibrated and it would vibrate the hops in?
It is. So we'll talk about that kind of when we get into 90 Minute. So 60 Minute actually came after 90 Minute, and we did use this electric football game.
Oh, I know that game, the vibrating board game.
Yeah, the vibrating board game.
I love that game. Yeah.
Yep. So when we kind of started out, he was watching a cooking show, and the chef was spicing the soup, throughout the whole boil of the soup. And he goes, "Oh man, hops are spiced. It's kind of, counteracts the sweetness of the malt. So let me do that, and it'll add an even flavor into the beer." But he didn't have anything to, continually hop. So he had this vibrating game that he drilled a hole in, duct taped the bucket to, and flipped it up, kind of horizontally, and the hops trickled all the way down into the boil. Lasted about 2 times, and then the motor would run out. So it was blissfully inefficient, as we would say.
Right.
So then we upgraded and got Sir Hops a lot, which was our first continual hopper.
That you guys use that to this day, the Sir Hops a lot?
We have a new one. That's the old one. It's evolved from there.
Sir Hops a lot is still around, but
still around.
The process is
Isn't the football board when you go to the brewery? Isn't it like located? You can see
we
it
have our original system at the brewery, like the 10-gallon system I was talking about, and the football game kind of up there, so you can kind of see the history.
And where is that brewery located?
In Milton, Delaware.
Okay, perfect. And that's available for anybody. They can pop in and do tours and all that kind of stuff there.
Please come. It's beautiful.
Okay, perfect.
I love that kind of ingenuity, and I've never played electric football while having beer, because I was like 12. But I'm down for it now. I got to try it. I got to get one.
You're telling me you weren't drinking at 12? Come on, Riggs.
I was heavy into Kool-Aid.
Were you heavy into Kool-Aid?
Double sugar.
You were doing the double sugar Kool-Aid? I gotcha. I think they call that crack-aid or something like that. Isn't that what they called it?
Yeah, sure.
Back in the
totally
day.
natural. All natural. This is great, though. This is like so...
Yeah, it's not an aggressive IPA.
This is a great IPA. This is actually 66% alcohol. This has been around for 11 years now. I think we picked you guys up 11 years ago in this area.
Yeah.
A staple. It's there. It's
Right.
pretty much everywhere.
Right.
60 is a staple. You can get it at a lot of your restaurants right now. You can get it at Publix. You can get it at ABC. You can get it at Total Wine. You can get it at your local liquor stores. It's an awesome beer. I know McKay's. Well, that's 90. He has. We'll get into that, but he carries that all the time, and it's just a great beer. It's a great staple just to go out drink. And actually, I think. It's available in 12-pack cans now, right? We have it in 12-pack cans as well.
12-pack cans and 19.2-ounce cans.
Yeah, so the 19 2-shooters. Yep, absolutely. So if you guys want to go on chuggers with it, we can go ahead and do that. Right?
Sweet.
Get it all set. All right. I suggest we chug the 90, though. All right.
Those are two
So the
good
next
plans.
one we're going to get into is 90 Minute, the one we were just talking about. So go ahead and give a little bit of, on this one. It's pretty much the same, but you can roll with it.
Yeah, so 90 minutes. So just like 60 Minute, it takes 90 minutes to boil this beer. We continually hop this beer for 90 minutes. And it actually did come before 60 Minutes. So I think it was released in 2002. And 60 and 90, really represent the majority of our business. Beautiful, well-balanced IPA.
Right.
So the flavor components is, because it's 9% alcohol, it is a double IPA. It is going to be a little bit more sweet than your 60 Minute, which is a little bit more herbal, if you will. You're going to get caramel sweetness from the malt, followed by the same citrus hop notes and a slight bitterness on the finish.
So if you remember, we've talked about this a few times. When you get into the double IPAs, they want to create a more alcohol in that. In order to get a higher alcohol, you need more sugars. To get more sugars for that yeast to eat, they have to add more malt. And when they do, you get a different balance on a double IPA. So don't be afraid of a double IPA when you go look at it. It's going to have a real good balance to it when you're getting them. You're going to get some of that malty sweetness up front, and then you'll finish off with a nice hot bite on the back.
I am really liking this one.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
It is. It is.
This one could get me in
I
trouble.
saved you a little bit more in that bottle for you guys. That's who that's for.
Happy Friday.
Hey, anything can get you in
This
trouble.
is the BOGO of beers. It's a double IPA. Get it?
Absolutely.
Well, don't.
And there again, 90 has been around for a long time. One of the original labels on 90 was pretty awesome. Was a guy nailing a thing into his nose. It was pretty cool. That was when it first came out.
Wow.
25-ounce bottles.
25-ounce bottles.
Wow.
You picture drinking 25 ounces in 90 Minute. That when you're all done by yourself doing that, you can drive anything into your nose.
Yeah.
So this has been around a long time, and we've had it. It's a staple. It's been around, and there again, you can get this anywhere. That's
the OG of double IPA.
Yes, absolutely.
I was gonna say
it was first to market.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
We found out through another brewery kind of looking to see if theirs was the first one, and actually our double IPA was the first in America.
Awesome.
Really?
Look at you guys, right?
Wow.
Innovators.
Like
doing
that.
it out. That's why you're called off-centered ales, correct? Because you're a little bit off-center on things.
We are.
And absolutely, to be honest with you, to work with these guys, for those guys that work at Dogfish, they have to be off-centered. I've known Chuck for about 11 years now, and I can guarantee you he's off-centered. So we're all good with that. Chuck and I have been in some very strange cities, drinking a lot of beer. So
He's a hell of a dancer.
hey, I can do a split. We'll have to do that one.
Many karaoke sessions.
Still time, yeah.
We do drunk karaoke.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. But
How else does anyone else do it? They have sober karaoke?
I don't know about that.
What the hell is that?
Krista does it sober, but she meows to it, so it's all good.
It's not a bad idea. I don't blame you. It's a good plan.
So what do you guys
I regret to say.
what do you guys think of the 90? Nice?
It's
Right?
extremely smooth.
Now you can get the difference, a little different taste profile than the 60, right?
Yeah.
This actually has more alcohol than the 60.
And it doesn't
taste it.
Doesn't
You don't
taste
taste the 9%
Yeah.
in here, do you?
Nope. Right.
No, it's like it's one of those beers that hides it very well.
Is that just because
There's
it's
not a
well
lot of heat.
crafted? Is that what?
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
say that it's very well crafted.
I'm gonna.
I think part of it's the continual hopping process as well, right?
Yeah.
That makes it really super well balanced. So you do, Vinny, I think you nailed it in the description when you said, right, you get a lot of sweetness really on the tongue at the beginning, and then it finishes with just a little bit of a bite, but it's not overly aggressive.
Yeah.
So this is one of those IPAs again that we talk about all the time. That if you're not sure, not super into IPAs, this is one you can drink.
Oh no, I'm gonna save all of the listeners out there from getting this beer because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna buy them all up. So you guys don't have to.
You guys think he's kidding? He does it every show. He picks one. He buys us out in public. So
No, seriously, I do every time.
Support since you were 12. Yes. We're going to continue making more. There's plenty to go around.
Isn't in here? Thank God. That would
Absolutely.
be a horrible segment if it was all.
I didn't say what store I was going to go to. No, I do that every time we have a brew review. I pick one and I go to a certain store and I buy the whole shelf of
and
it.
then we get
Yes, I do.
Snapchats of the empty shelves.
We'll be launching sales.
You chart that
I think
thing.
one of the themes as we go through this today, right, is there's a, you talked about, right, is it better?
Yeah.
Right, better ingredients. So we only use real ingredients in all of our beers.
Right.
Nothing but the finest, whether it's our hops or grains, or we're going to get to a beer called Namaste that we put organic orange flesh in. And then it's well differentiated, right? So today, the world that we live in is there's a lot of us. I think when Sam came to market, it was probably 600 breweries, somewhere around that number, back in '95, and today we're at over 6,000.
That's crazy.
So in a sea of competitiveness, you've kind of got to stick yourself out there. And one of the ways that Sam and Mariah have gone about that is to, it's not about quantity, although today it's going to be about both quantity and quality
Right,
while we're
right.
here. But hopefully that kind of resonates as we go through the rest of the beers that we're going to sample.
And one thing, a lot of people are like, well, that's a little more expensive. It's a little more expensive than some of the other beers. It's because it's made with all natural. You're looking at, everything you get in there is grown naturally. It's there. There's no artificial. There's no anything. So you're not going to get those headaches and those normal issues that you get. And you're going to get a really good flavor profile on it. I mean, I've had some beers, I won't name it, that you taste it and it tastes like a Jolly Rancher. And you're like, what the f is this? I don't want this anymore. Absolutely. No, I'm not going to name it. So,
Covered it up for you.
So it's nice and refreshing when you get a beer that you can pick up and you can drink and you can taste it, and there's no artificial. And you know the difference. You know the difference between a real and artificial. When you're out there, no matter what you're doing, eating candy or ice cream or beer, whatever it is, anything that's made with natural ingredients is going to be much better. And that's where these guys are coming into play. Everything is made all natural. Everything is cool. And I'm going to tell you, Sam Calzone, the owner, the guy's awesome. I've met him a few times. I know you guys work with him, and I'm just a little distributor down here. The guy remembers my name all the time out of all these distributors we work with. The guy's awesome. He's a great guy. So that's what we talk about, is that whole craft community. The guys that are starting small, they're here, they're all nice and going. Well, he kept it all the way up through. And a lot of the bigger breweries do that too. So that's what's important about that craft community, is to keep that friendly face and to know who your customers are and to be there.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right.
The next one we're going to do,
If you
guys,
can.
is a little bit of Namaste White. So I don't know, either Chuck or Derek.
Yeah. So Namaste has been with us for a while at the at the brewery and in the market. It just now came into 12-ounce cans. The beer itself is a Belgian Whit style. So Belgian Whit style historically have coriander. It's going to have some orange peel, and then we've added some lemongrass and some peppercorns along with this. So the beer is very light bodied. You're going to get a nice touch of spice in the flavor initially, followed by some sweetness from the orange and lemongrass, and then finishes nice and dry. Like Chuck was mentioning earlier, we use all real whole ingredients when we're brewing beer. It looks more like a grocery store at the brewery rather than a brewery. We have these really cool, awesome cylinders, metal cylinders. If you can think of like one huge French press. So we put all of the real fruit that's frozen into these, pack them deep into these cylinders. Once the beer is boiled and it's going into its cooling process, the beer goes through these cylinders, and the beer really imparts flavors from the ingredients that are in that. So in this case, it's the orange and the real lemongrass and peppercorn.
So one of the cool things, right, is when you go see our brewery, which is in Milton, the production brewery. Thank you. I keep forgetting. I'm more of a radio face than I am voice. But we've got a cooler. I don't know how many square feet it is, but it houses all of the real ingredients that go into the beer. So when you take a tour, our amazing coworkers will tell you the story, and they'll let you go in and touch and feel. And so, Namaste has organic orange flesh in it. You can actually pull the organic orange slices out. It's just a really cool experience for people to go through.
Now, you guys actually take that technology and you shrink it, right? So a bar could do what they call a Randall and put those fruits or whatever at a bar level, run that beer through whatever they want to run through, and impart those flavors on that, right?
Yeah,
you guys kind of invented that whole...
Yeah, well, I would say, so you said some really great things about our founder, Sam, and that was awesome because we're blessed to work with somebody. He's our coworker, but he's also our leader, and he's done some really cool things. So he developed what you call the Randall, and it's Randall the enamel animal, but it's really a glorified pool filter that you can hook up to a keg. You fill the housing unit with whatever ingredients,
hops, fruit, chocolate, gummy bears, Sour Patch Kids are pretty popular. Absolutely.
And then you can basically kind of change the flavor profile and some of the aroma from the beer by putting the beer through this process. And you can go onto our website and download the parts list to build this thing together. Sam shared that. We don't
assemble
make any
your
money
own.
We sell them,
DIY.
but you can make them yourself today.
You guys still have the mini ones?
We do. We have. Sam did. So like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was Honey, I Shrunk the Randall, and now it's really kind of a French press, but it holds a beer, a 16-ounce beer, and you can put the ingredients at the top and you infuse it and you put it in a refrigerator, let those ingredients kind of meld about, and you've got a whole new kind of experience.
You got a personal Randall.
I'm getting an idea now because I have a above ground pool, like a cheap little above ground pool.
No, you can put it in the filter of the pool and just drink the pool.
Yeah, the filter's not really doing much anyway. I might as well fill it with good ingredients.
I like
Make it some meat. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
We'll have a pool party.
Yes.
You know what? We could have a great pool party. We could be pantless. We all set and everything would be great.
I might actually come over when invited this time.
I'll get the e-bike going soon.
Absolutely. You have no luck with motorized anything, do you? Your pool filter's not working. Your car's not working.
No,
You're just not having any luck.
I don't know how I got here today.
You know how we're going to cure that? We're going to let you try some Quench. That's going to help you get a little refreshed and remember that.
It may be the most attractive of the cans.
You like that, huh?
Color profile.
I'm going to show you how to make it a lot more attractive.
Okay. Boom.
Make it a lot more attractive. So
you weren't kidding.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
That was good. We do appreciate what you're saying about the cans. So cans are new for us, but fun fact: over 50% of all craft beer sold today it's sold in a can.
Is it really?
And it's basically a mini keg, right? So one of the worst things that can kind of really affect beer or the taste profile of beer is light. And so no light can get to this.
Right.
The quality of cans has changed over the year. There still can kind of be a bit of a stigma. Consumers, hey, I won't drink beer out of a can, but this is really like a portable keg that you can kind of carry around in your hand.
Jack, we preach this week after week after week. Not only does it keep the light out, it also keeps the oxygen out. Believe it or not, in a bottle, you've got a rubberized cap up top. You can get some seepage up there in oxygen, which can throw some flavor profiles off, too. Like Chuck said, I keep saying it over and over and over again. There's special liners in these cans, liquid ceramic. They have rubberized. It's not touching the aluminum. It's not like the old days when you were drinking a soda and it felt like you were licking a bunch of aluminum cans, although I still do that. But it's delicious. It doesn't impart any of those flavors.
Overpour.
Well, I guess nobody else gets any.
Sucks.
We call that a party foul.
It's okay. We have another one.
Isn't this a light beer?
Yeah, so this is a light beer. On the can, you'll see session sour. So session really meaning light. This beer really starts. This beer really starts with a blend of 3 different German beers.
Okay.
The first is a Kolsch. So you have this nice light German Kolsch, very similar to a German lager, very crisp. And then you have a Berliner Weiss that we add some lime juice to. And then you have some a Goza, which a Goza is kind of, I would say, the Berliner Weiss's brother.
Right.
You just add some sea salt and coriander, and you have the Goza.
So we keep talking about coriander. Little fun fact. Do you know what coriander is?
Sunflower seeds?
It's a seed of a cilantro plant. Yeah, that's where you get that little bit of flavor from.
Right.
Yeah, if you look on our
five points
cans,
of
you
any.
can kind of see the leaf.
Yeah,
the leaf of the cilantro. So we blend all 3 of those beers, the Kolsch, the Goes, the Berliner Weiss, in sequence, hence the name, Quench Ale. And what you get...
I thought it meant because it had salt in it from the sea and it quenched your thirst. It was called Sea Quench. That's what I was thinking.
See, I know we have 3 more to go that are visible right now.
Yeah.
But if we were to stop here,
It's gonna be hard to top.
this is the one that I'm gonna go buy out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And it is for the.
I'm actually searching right now where I can go get some after the
Our
show.
local wholesaler has done an amazing job getting Sequence.
Well, what's the name of that wholesaler again? That's our Perrot. Yeah.
So you can find it in more places today than
You could yesterday, so it's awesome.
We're going to sell some more after this. Yeah. But one of the great things, fun fact, it's a day full of fun facts on this Friday, is Quench this year became our 2nd best-selling beer.
Really?
I can see why.
It's been in the market really
2 years, right?
Oh, not even quite a full 2 years.
If you're into sour beers, go get this one.
Another
absolutely.
cool fun fact, this is actually written up in Sports Illustrated, and it was written up in Men's Health because it is low in calorie and it's low in carb. It's a great beer. And it'll help be refreshing, keep you going. So
Why, when he said low carb, did people look at me?
The amount. Because it's that arrow over your head.
Yeah. Hey, fun fact. I know you have more over there.
I think you have a compliment.
I didn't even see that when I came in. But this is for the amount of flavor in this beer. I would expect it to be heavier. It's not at all.
Yeah, it's really it's 4.9%.
Yeah, amazing.
there again, 4.9.
That is amazing.
Great beach beer.
Yep.
You're out on the beach drinking that, getting that good flavor. You don't have to worry about getting super hammered.
Yeah.
It's 4.9, and you're getting a good session beer with flavor, and that's the important part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of session beers out there, but they don't have flavor. This does.
Here's what I want. I want to go float in the ocean, and I want you to throw me one of those beers. And I want to consume it while in the ocean.
Well, I'm going to open it and throw it to you.
Double
I want
Sequench.
you-
Well,
double Sequench.
speaking of being in the ocean, if you go to dogfish.com, it says it pairs well with seafood, steamed mussels, and raw oysters.
Nice.
That-
Now, wait. Does that mean steam mussels after you get out of a steam shower, or is that the food mussel? What are you
Are you talking about the gun show?
Hey, I'm working out 12 ounces at a time. I'm drinking this.
It's a lifestyle beer, so you can do both.
You can do both with it.
Yeah, one of the inspirations for it.
Oh my
was
God, this is so good.
When you come see us in Rehoboth, which we hope everybody does, right next to where we were founded, we actually have a seafood restaurant called Chesapeake in Maine, where all of the seafood is sourced from the Chesapeake or from Maine. And so the beer was, one of the original inspirations behind it was for it to pair well with seafood, which it does tremendously well, and that's the salt component that goes in it. Another fun story about it is it's the official beer of our National Aquarium. So
Really?
we partnered with, our National Aquarium is in Baltimore, So we partnered with them to come up with the salt component that's in this beer.
Oh, nice.
So that it's similar. It doesn't mirror, but there is no seawater in this. But they helped us come up with the perfect salinity level.
Now, weren't you guys also with the Warrior Dash or something last year? Did you do something with them?
We did do Warrior Dash this year.
Oh, this year. Okay.
Yep. So Quench was really the lifestyle beer for Warrior Dash. So if you did go, you got to see.
You got to see Quench.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I tried Warrior Dash. I made about 5 feet, and it took 4 guys to pull me back to the starting line. So
all good. All good. You competed.
I don't even want to hear it, man. I watched. So this guy would go out to San Francisco, right? And he goes, "Hey, I want to run across the bridge." So me and another guy my size, we decide we're going to walk. The guy made it all the way to the other side and back before we got a quarter of a way across the bridge. I'm like, what the freak is going on?
By the way, that was a terrible impression of you that he did. It didn't sound like you at all.
All good. I made it a point to run across the Golden Gate, and I'm scared of heights. So and it's really high. But it was just another cool story.
Me and the other fella, we were out there jumping up and down trying to make it vibrate and stuff. It didn't bother him, so he just kind of kept going.
I could see
you know why? Because you had the light beer. That's why.
So this beer's only been out 2 years. So it's we were stoked as coworkers of Dogfish to come out with something that was a little bit lower on the alcohol threshold.
Yeah.
Because we do like to drink when we're at events. And 60 Minute is our session IPA, but it is a 6% beer. And so, I would come home at night. My wife would be, "How many beers did you have?" And I'd be, "I only had 2." And she's like, "Okay, how many Dogfish beers?"
Right.
So
More specific.
we're massive fans of Sequence. I see
feel-
you sitting by your pool with this.
I'm ready.
No, he means it. He's got binoculars. He sees you sitting by your pool with it.
You've seen the thong.
Hey, I'll watch him swim as long as I can get some sequence.
We've never done.
Is there any more in that bag?
90 minutes.
Because I want to take one home.
Sequench between 90 minute and Sequench.
Sequence.
All.
This has never happened before. I think we need to
Well,
take
90 will start the party. This one
I really do. I think we have to stop and let Guy regroup.
All right. You know what? Time for intermission.
I'm really excited. Sorry.
All right, I think that's pretty good, right? All right, so the next beer I'm a little nervous of because it's called Liquid Truth Serum. So I'm afraid of what's going to come out of people.
I'm going to ask you a question as soon as you drink.
You got it. I'm going to ask you a question as soon as you drink.
All right.
All right, so we're all set here.
Myself
It's kind of a cool beer, interesting concept. There again, off-centered ales.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Lots of science here, buddy.
Yeah, lots of science here. So, for those of you in the craft beer world that have heard of a style called New England IPA,
Oh, yeah.
right? So New England IPA, that really is hazy, juicy in the flavor of the hop. We didn't make a New England IPA, but the way that the flavor profile of this beer is going to be very, very similar. So this beer is not going to be hazy like the New England IPA.
Right.
But so how we started was we talked about continual hopping. This beer isn't continually hopped, so it's completely different. So we had 4 different types of hops. So you have whole leaf, you have pelletized, you have CO2 extract, and you have liquefied hops. So all of those get added to the beer, really at the end of the boil. So we talked earlier about how beers were boiled 3 times historically, and then with 60 and 90, they're continually hopped throughout all 60 minutes. All of the hops are added at the very, very end of this boil. What that does is it releases an acid that's in the hop that's very flavorful without being crushingly bitter. So when you boil hops, at the beginning of the boil, you're going to get a lot of bitterness out of them. So nice, fruity, juicy component to the flavor of this, and then finishes super smooth.
Yeah. I have. This is my jam right here.
You like this one?
Oh, I've done some damage with this
Here you
before.
go.
Yeah. No, and let me tell you something too. It is smooth because you would expect, based on the things that you mentioned, it's going to be harder on the back end. It's going to be a little heavier. Not at all.
So it's Liquid Truth Serum. So, Krista, who's your favorite boss?
It's not this stuff.
Oh, she doesn't even work for Chuck. That's man.
I think the closed caption was typed wrong. It meant Vin Eves.
She said Chuck. I don't know. I guess that's it. No more talking.
In fairness to Krista,
Radio face too.
That's it. We're done.
the V is really close to the C on the keyboard.
I know. Yeah,
Right next
Chuck.
to it. Yeah, can totally
never
happen.
That's crazy.
That's-
So what do you guys like it, right?
Yeah.
So beer is kind of like a liquid. All beer is like a liquid truth serum.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody
It is.
has ever kind of the more beer you drink, the more honest you get.
Oh, we've had some honest conversations.
But they've all been good. But all full of goodness. You like the name?
Love the name.
Love the name.
All right.
Yeah.
What about the name Post Boil IPA?
Post boil.
It sounds like I had something on one of those on my
Yeah.
the other day.
One of the really cool things about Sam is that he's a collaborator, right?
Yeah.
So not just with other breweries and supporting this independent craft movement, but to us as coworkers, we all have a voice. And originally, this beer was going to come to market as Post Boil IPA.
Wow.
It's not a secret. It was in all of our marketing materials for 2017.
Really?
I think.
You would have sold a lot of.
At that point that they're going to have to say that?
Well, we got pretty far in the process, and Sam's like, "Hey, I'm hearing people this isn't resonating," and yeah, it's not really. But initially, we're all like, "Yeah, this is great, post-boil IPA. We get it because all the hops are added post-boil." And so he's, "What about liquid true serum?" And we were all like, "Yes, that's
it.
Oh,
Nailed it.
what a
Pretty cool.
relief.
Pretty
You
cool.
should have called it-
The name really is so the truth is that you can achieve flavorful hop IBUs, International Bitters Unit, from the hops without boiling it. So that's kind of where the name came from,
Okay.
rather than the post boil.
Well, post boil, you would have sold a lot of calamine lotion. You could have put it right there with the whole. That would have been great.
Yeah.
No, I think liquid truth is a much better, much
Our
better.
Northeast manager, Matt Funk, who he's like, "Yeah, man, that just does post-boil sounds.
Doesn't feel good.
It sounds like you're lancing something."
Yeah, it sounds like a surgery.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next one we're going to move on to is going to be Dogfish Head Flesh and Blood.
Wow.
I've never seen this beer before.
Well, this
never laid
is
eyes on
perfect
it.
for
Yeah?
the fall season,
Okay.
right?
All right.
So Punkin is the next beer that we're going to do, but
Okay.
Flesh and Blood kind of resonates.
A little bit Halloweenish.
Yeah.
Little walk up to it. I like it.
Right? So Flesh and Blood, as we kind of talked about earlier, we're all about quality in our beers, and we use real whole ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So that cylinder that I'm talking about, that I spoke about before, is filled with real blood orange, real lemon, and real orange. And the beer, the 7.5% IPA, runs through those fruits, and those fruits really complement the malt and the hop component. So the blood orange really marries with the malt, and the lemon and orange really marries with the zest of the hops and citrus notes. Again, all of our IPAs, all of our beers are going to be very well balanced. It's just in the nature of the way we brew, the continual hopping, and wanting beer to be very well balanced, not crushingly bitter.
Yeah, and definitely of all the things that we mentioned about fruit, the fruit is definitely not up front on these.
Right.
It's
No.
a beer with fruit flavor,
I
right?
think that beer is it's the main actor, right? It's
Right.
the the main actor, and then all of the ingredients kind of support what that is, what the end result is. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do feel, in addition to being well differentiated in quality, and there's a culinary aspect to all of this, but every one of our beers is well balanced. So if you're an entry level consumer, or we have beers that kind of take you through the gamut of the whole spectrum of the craft beer experience. But well said.
Fun story a little bit about. So you talked about kind of the price of our beers. Maybe a little bit expensive to our friends in the industry. So our owner signs off on anything that's rough.
100,000.
Yeah, so 6 figures or more. He has to look at the check and say, what are we paying for? So he gets a check, or he has to sign off on a check that's 6 figures or more, and he's like, "What is this?" And it was all fruit for Quench, Flesh and Blood,
Really?
Namaste. So, and he did the math quickly, like, what would I spend if I just added some little natural flavoring to get the blood orange flavor? And it was like, I think it was like 20,000, and he spent over $100,000. So
I know. So for that flavoring versus the
Really?
real, there's an $80,000 difference.
Wow.
So when you look at our beer in the market, that's $1 more, whatnot. Just remember that there's a lot of love. There's a lot of real whole ingredients that go into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
you're
great.
not-
This is a close second to the Quench. It's a very good IPA, and it is a little tiny bit tarty.
Yeah.
You'll get that from the
Blood orange.
lemon and the blood orange and the orange.
This is a close second, absolutely.
Nice. Look at you, huh? Man, those sours. Remember when we first started?
No,
You
keep
were all
keep
about
looking at me.
IPAs.
I like it.
You were all about IPAs, and now all of a sudden you're like sours. See what happened?
I'm considering going as a blood orange for Halloween now.
Ooh.
You know?
That'll
That'd be
work out.
great. Just big
Get you
round.
like a flesh and blood costume.
I'm definitely not drinking from you.
No? Well, put a straw on me and find out.
I know you've had a straw in you before. We won't go there.
Yeah,
so the next
college.
one, we,
It's a long night.
next one we have.
Oh man.
The weekend.
Right.
It is.
Right. I do a weekend.
So we're coming into that fall season. So all you young ladies out there, get your Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin, get your Ugg boots on. We're all
That's
set and
right.
ready to go. So we're actually going to do a Punkin Ale. So if you guys want to go ahead and talk about that, let us know what the difference in this Punkin Ale is versus some of the other ones.
Yeah. Tis the season, so we may not feel it here in Florida. It's still about 100 degrees,
Right.
but it is the season for pumpkin ales. So this beer actually was the first beer Dogfish had really ever brewed. We won the Pumpkin Chunkin contest with this beer.
Really?
Yep, and the recipe has been really the same ever since. So we started in '95. This beer was really brewed in '94. We don't know if it's the first pumpkin beer, but we like to say, it's one of the first pumpkin
Sure.
beers that out there.
Pioneer.
It's the OG of the pumpkin world.
I hate to break your bubble, but George Washington actually was huge
He did.
brewing
He
pumpkin
did.
beers.
He
Yep.
did. Yeah, so-
Yeah, almost the OG.
Almost OG.
He's the real OG.
He's the real OG.
Here we go with the smart guy
His
again.
his wooden teeth were awesome.
So what differentiates this from other pumpkin beers is that it's a beer first. Just like we talked about with some of our other culinary beers, we still hold to the we want it to be a beer first,
Yeah.
and then we want these the flavor, the fall flavors of cinnamon and the pumpkin flesh that we use to be complements of the beer. So it's still going to be a brown ale, and then nice malt complex to it, nuttiness, and then a touch of spice on that finish.
But also not heavy. Again.
Yeah,
Not
very
heavy at
well
all,
balanced,
yeah.
super light.
So please understand, I know there's a ton of pumpkin beers in the market, and they kind of hit their height about 4 years ago. So we've slowed down on bringing pumpkin beers in. This is one of two that we brought in. This is one I will never stop bringing in. This sells very well. It's an amazing beer. It's offset. It's a little bit different. The other beer I have is more of a pumpkin pie. It's a little bit sweeter. Where this, you're getting more of that beer flavor with the pumpkin. So we will not drop this pumpkin. We only have two out there, so make sure you get out there and get it, because when it comes in, it's going to go away pretty quickly, and we want to make sure that you're set with it.
Getting a little teary-eyed.
Can we get the tears?
We can throw those in, yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh, we have Kleenex right here.
Fellas, stop crying.
So another cool thing, if we could kind of get this on the camera, right? Not on me, but on this. But so Pumpkin Ale is part of our art series, collection of beers. So Sam and Mariah collaborate with an artist to do our art series beers, which lines up with the 4 seasons. So this would be our fall art series beer. This year's artist is Mark Spusta. There's always a connection. You guys will appreciate this, but as we're here in a radio station today, all of the artists have to have a music component to what they've done. So they typically, Mark Spusta does a lot of concert tour promotion posters and whatnot. So
I was going to say, a little bit, that looks like it would make a good concert T-shirt.
yeah,
right
he's
there.
done a lot of stuff for Widespread Panic.
Yeah, really.
He's done our seasonal. He's done our art series work several times.
record
through
store
the
stuff,
past-
right?
Yeah, he did records. So the art series artist will always also be the artist for Record Store Day, and you
Just
can talk about that.
talk about Record Store Day. Yeah, we one big thing. The Dogfish is involved in Record Store Day. As we know, vinyl's coming back. I'm crazy. I'm a nut. I got 700 albums. I know you have a bunch. I even have 8 tracks. I'm pretty excited about that. But so what it is Record Store Day. These guys do some sponsorships. These guys work with the record stores. They release an album. This year it was the one with
Dragons and Yum Yum.
and with Flaming Lips.
Yeah, Flaming
Did they
Lips.
ever make the album with the beer in it? I know
did.
you guys. They did. Okay.
I love that.
We had like 100 of them.
Yeah.
Really?
Love that.
Okay.
Well, we had we
had 50.
did we had 50 as a collective. So they filled a beer, a vinyl, with the liquid Dragons and Yum Yums. It was a big collaboration between Sam and our team, our coworkers back in Delaware, to partner with them. They were very hands-on in helping to pick out the ingredients. You can talk a little bit about them, but So it's a unique thing, but it wasn't the first time like a liquid, a foreign substance had been put inside the vinyl. And
Yeah.
so it's become a collector's
Yeah.
item. It's pretty badass.
So our VP of marketing flew out to England
He did.
to make this happen,
Yeah.
to get the beer pressed into the vinyl.
Nice.
Love that.
That's
So-
the only company in the
That's the
world
only
that
company
That'll do it.
that will do it. So
Really?
Somebody did blood in an album at one time.
Yeah.
I
They
think.
did. That was the
Slayer?
first.
Slayer, I think it was.
Slayer?
I would rather have beer in my album, not blood, because the blood will congeal. It's not a good
Comic
thing.
books.
a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it comic books you said?
Kissed it with comic
Kissed
books.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. So getting back to it real quick, Record Store Day, they come out with different artwork every year. They come out with a different beer to go with. So not only can you get some of this stuff at bars and restaurants and Total Wine, ABC's, liquor stores, but you can get it at your record stores. So we usually give them the posters, so they're in there, they're hanging up, and when you go buy albums, they pick out certain record stores to get the albums. I know our guy in DeLand got it. I think our guy over here got it in Daytona. So just keep an eye out for that every year for Record Store Day. It's one of the cool releases. And then they have different posters that go with it every year as well.
Sweet.
So, yep.
I love
Yeah, and,
Record Store
and just
Day.
to kind of piggyback that, as I've mentioned before, we're an independently owned brewery. We're very, very proud of that, and so we really wanted to marry up with a concept, a day that we're passionate about, and so Record Store Day, supports independent businesses across America in the music world, and so we really wanted to grow awareness for the independent businesses out there, as we are independent, and we've always viewed ourselves as a punk rock brewery, musically, themed brewery. Our owner, founder, loves all different types of music, and we've done beautiful music collaborations with Miles Davis, Pearl Jam, the Grateful Dead.
Jeez. Some heavy hitters.
Yeah, some big
The
boys,
Flaming
absolutely.
Lips. So it's been a Deltron 3000. We can go on and on,
30.
but yeah. So love music, love Record
Yeah.
Store Day. I think it's going to be April 20th in 2019.
420.
So look for us. Look for
Is it 420
Dogfish
this
at
year?
your local record shop and all around town.
So cool fun fact. I actually sang karaoke with their owner.
Yep.
So it worked out pretty good. Yeah. He was a much better singer than I am. But we were
So were you Sonny or were you Cher?
I was Cher. I had the midriff. I had everything going on. It was awesome.
The cool thing, though, to see with Record Store Day is, I think we've been partnered with them for 3 years. Next year will be our 4th, is to see the excitement that, it has
you get a
just
picture?
over during
Love
that
it.
4 years,
Yeah.
the momentum that's, and it's just been awesome. When we go to Record
be able
Store
to put it
Day
in.
or to record stores on record, just to see
Everybody's excited.
the influx of
The record stores are asking me, "Hey, when am I getting my
Sure.
posters? When am I
Yeah,
getting
I
my
bet.
stuff?"
So as you'll see, we're gonna put this in here. You'll see this independent craft seal on here, and really, if you go out, for everyone that's listening, if you're out in the the world, Publix, whatnot, your local shop, look for this independent seal.
Where is it?
And it's on all of our actual 6-pack packaging.
Okay.
That really denotes, I think there's, out of 6,000 breweries, there's over 3,000 to 4,000 using this. And that means that, your dollars that you're using are supporting, independent
They're
businesses.
100% independent owned. They're not owned by a big conglomerate. So, all right, guys. I
why you
know
can do
we
cool
got
stuff.
a little time constraints here on this wonderful Friday. And
All
it's-
right.
just so you know, it's my day off, too. And I
Well,
came
we
in
don't
here to
stop.
talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we get it all set. Yeah.
So wait, are you bragging?
Yeah. So,
it's kind of half breath.
He was bringing a surprise, though. He can brag all he wants.
So I brought two surprises.
Yeah.
So one of my better accounts and is a good friend of mine is McKay's 2 doors over from
Yeah.
you guys. So I swung in there this morning. I said, "Hey, I got the Dogfish guys in town. I know you got some special beers tucked away. Can I grab a bottle of each?" So he was kind enough to donate a bottle of each
Nice.
of these special beers. And the first one is Dogfish Head Fruitful Fort. And I'm going to let these guys discuss it. I've had the original Fort. It's been out for a while. Love that beer. It's amazing. I've had it after 5 years. I've had it after 7 years. It's a great beer. But I'm going to let them go ahead and talk it while I pour.
So first thing is, if you notice, for any of us, we do high grav beers throughout the year. And if you ever notice the yellow cap when you're out, this yellow cap, it means that the ABV, the alcohol by volume, is going to be 15 to 18%.
Okay.
So just note that the labels may change. The liquid will be slightly different in the flavor, but it will be high alcohol.
And the warning is your body will love this. That's what it should
100%,
say. Yeah.
What's the ABV on this one again?
Party starter.
15 to 18.
15 to
Feel
18.
great tomorrow.
15 to 18. So Fort starts really as a light Belgian golden, even though it pours very, red, beautifully red in its flavor. And then we add some raspberries, some boysenberries, some blueberries there. Yeah. And what you get is a very, very nice, complex, fruit-forward ale.
Oh, my God.
That finish is very, very smooth, although that it's 15 to 18%.
Yeah, you can tell it's there, but it's not knocking you out. The flavor overrides.
And some high grav beers with us, just as much as we've talked about this quality and the ingredients that we use to achieve that ABV, it's all grain. It's full grain. We don't add any, sugars to spike the alcohol, if you will. So you'll see this beer out there. It is a little bit, more expensive, but just know that.
I actually, you won't see this out there. We sold all of it. It's all pretty much gone.
Was it to a guy named Guy?
Yeah, you could actually. I think if you stop into McKay's, I believe he's got a keg of it sitting in the back. He's waiting to put on. So if you're real sweet to him and nice to him, he's waiting. He's gonna wait for us to drink it.
Every listener is gonna knock on his door now.
Absolutely.
So I think the warning cap is like, hey, you might want to share this.
Yeah.
You know what? In the spirit of that,
I like it. Yeah, no.
Are you serious? We have a meeting after this. This is going to be awesome.
So
You have to be there.
I do want to say something about our group Chuggers. We're on this group called Chuggers.
Yes.
And there was a fella on there, and he goes, he's drinking a beer, and he says, if you're not drinking anything over 7%, if you're not chugging over 7%, you're wearing a diaper. So you know what I chugged? A Fruitful Fort.
wow.
I sat down and bada bang. I said, there you go, buddy. If you're not chugging this, you ain't chugging stuff.
No, you then said it. You're not chugging this.
Oh, you saw that video.
Yes, I did.
That's okay. I'm going to show up wearing the diaper.
Why not? I wear no pants all the time.
He does.
Guy doesn't show that way every day.
Yeah. He's got no pants party, but I think you're wearing a diaper now, Chuck. I saw it walking up the stairs.
We're working on a diaper. We got a sponsorship, I think, coming on board.
Oh,
pretty
do you?
soon. Yeah,
Pampers?
we're hoping. Yeah,
All
right.
adult Pampers. Yeah,
No, they're called Chuggies. That way you don't have to get up.
they call them.
You got to put that on the site. That's awesome. Chuggies, the wettable diapers.
So we got one more specialty beer, right?
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see what you
one
got.
more.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Well.
So while we're waiting, the cool thing about Ford is, and I think Derek referenced it, is so it tastes amazing today, right? And I get to me, I get like jam, right? So I think this would be an amazing ingredient in like making a jam, right? That you could an 18%.
Yeah, this is.
Spread on toast. But this beer is going to taste. It's going to change in complexity and flavor profile, and some of that alcohol burn that you may get today, because it's just come to market, is going to kind of recede to the back and become a little bit more what I would say well balanced as kind of time passes.
You're going to kind of see it in the next one I'm about to bring out. This one actually is called Worldwide Stout.
Okay.
This comes out every 2 years. It was every year for a little while, right? And then they kind of converted it to every 2 years.
A couple years.
This is the oak aged vanilla. So it's not only is it worldwide, it's aged in oak barrels. Like when we had Copper Bottom Smoke on here.
Yep.
It's the same type of situation, but they use bigger oak barrels, and it's got vanilla bean. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this one.
Yeah, talk about the oak barrels too, buddy.
For sure. So the oak barrels, I'll start there. So really, they're called fooders, and we have some of the largest, I guess the largest oak tanks in the country legally that you can have. And so if you look on pictures on our website, or please go to the brewery, definitely make sure you stop by our oak aging room. So we have a couple American oak tanks that look like big cylinders straight in the air, and then we have a couple Palo Santo tanks. We didn't bring that beer today, but that is a wood that is from Paraguay, and it gives off some amazing flavors.
That wood is so dense. It's actually a distant cousin to frankincense and myrrh. I did some research on it when it first came out.
Wow.
It's an awesome piece of wood. It's so dense that they can shoot it with a 38, and it won't go through it. And it won't float. It sinks.
Well, shout out to the three wise men then, for sure.
Absolutely.
Love you, dudes.
So-
Love you,
We're
dudes.
all learning something. today.
Three wise
It's
men, yeah.
more than just beer.
Yeah.
So Worldwide Stout starts off as, again, it has the yellow cap, so it's going to be 15 to 18%.
Okay.
So it starts off as that big, robust Russian Imperial Stout. And then we put that into our oak tanks, and we let it sit for about 30 days. And then we dangle some vanilla beans, over those oak tanks. to get a nice, vanilla flavor. So oak, when you age beer, gives off, kind of a vanilla note. So we wanted to enhance that a little bit. And when you age
Holy
beer,
crap.
so this beer originally was just original worldwide stout, that original, 15 to 18% stout. When you age beer, the longer you age it, the more oak flavors that'll come out of the malt, and you'll get a touch of vanilla there too. So we really did this beer so that you could drink it right away, and it would be like almost drinking it a year age.
It would have that age feel.
So-
Fun fact.
Lieutenant Dangle. Is that who you're going to talk about?
You should go.
I have a question. I do have a question. Serious question. Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911 was actually went to college with Sam, correct?
Yeah,
and that's why if you watch the Reno, if you watch the Reno 911 movie that came out, you're going to see Dogfish all over it. So I'm sorry.
That's a cool story. And another cool story is before Sam got started, when he brewed his very first cherry pale ale, Ricky Lake was at his unveiling party at his apartment, and she was one of the very first people in the entire universe to sample Sam's homebrewing.
See, Sam, right?
Yeah,
this is what happens when you hang out with people that are doing well in the world.
Yeah.
Really cool
Clearly, yeah.
it's amazing that we've made it this far.
Absolutely,
but he's really done an amazing job.
So Ricky Lake, that means he's not the. Oh, that's a different one, right? Okay. Never mind.
So
They could do a
The
test on
fun
that.
fact about Worldwide Stout, though, is the inspiration was for this to be the strongest beer that was ever made.
Wow.
And so success, woo, right
Yeah.
around the corner. Sam succeeded. Worldwide Stout, when it was first introduced, was it was the strongest beer that was ever produced. And then it wasn't but a few months later that his good buddy Jim Cook came to market with a little brand called Utopias, which usurped him, and the rest is.
And then actually a German company got involved, and they started distilling, and I think the last highest was 60%, or I don't know.
Wow.
And they used a distilling technique. It wasn't really brewed, so yeah, absolutely. But to be honest with you, those guys that get to that higher 60, the 40 and 60% are using a distilling technique. You kind of get away from fermentation, where these guys are still actually fermenting the beer. The yeast is surviving to those levels, and the same thing with Utopias. I think Utopias was at 28% this year, and it was last year it was a survivable yeast. So he's not distilling that by freezing it, taking off the alcohol, redistilling it, getting the alcohol level high. He's not doing that. Like this German company came out with a beer called End of Days, and they served it was 32%, and they served it in dead squirrels. They had little suits on them and all that kind of stuff. So these guys are actually fermenting the beer. Him and Jim Cook. Those beers are actually fermented.
Yeah.
So these are happening the old traditional brewing style.
That's
and
beautiful.
it is very, very tough to get Vinny was talking about, to get a yeast to do that. And we do have a house yeast that will withstand these alcohol levels, which is very, very tough. So fun fact also, when we went to get the Worldwide Stout, the beer we're drinking right now, when we went to see if it was the highest alcohol beer, it came back as also the highest caloric beer.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
wow.
Which
I don't know that that's a really fun fact. It's just a fact.
So I got a question for you. So is there more calories in this than those donuts over there? Is that what you're teling me? So if I ate those donuts and
We're going to
drank
find
this-
out.
Maybe the whole box.
Shout out to Donnie's Donuts.
Oh, yeah.
Krista's afraid to say anything on the air here. I don't know why, but she went and got donuts for everybody over here. But obviously, Chuck's her favorite boss. Doesn't even work for him. Not me, but we're all good.
And that's your code name, Chuck.
Oh,
right?
I do have to give one more shout out. I met a fella called Fireball Rick.
Fireball Rick.
Yeah,
Oh,
he says he knows you pretty well.
He's a salt of the earth.
Oh, he was awesome. He was telling me about all the stuff he does.
He knows about chlorine. Let me.
Yeah, I saw him at the.
He dyed my hair.
I saw him at the concert up in Jacksonville, so he wanted to make sure he knew who you say hi to Riggs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm giving you a shout out
This
to
is
that.
the beauty of the Brew Review, and if you haven't chased it down, if you're hearing this and you haven't gone to YouTube, go right.
Oh, I'm telling you guys, you're missing it. You got to go to YouTube and check this out. You're only seeing, hearing part of the story on here, and if you go on YouTube, you get to see the whole thing unedited, and you'll get to see what Chuck looks like. It's pretty awesome.
That's right.
So we're getting all set.
He's the face of it.
He's the face of everything.
All of it.
Favorite boss.
Absolutely. Come see Krista's favorite boss, Chuck.
That's right.
So for Dogfish loyalists, fans, something to look forward to next year. We're going to keep doing what we do.
I love
Absolutely.
I thought you were gonna.
I thought he was going to tell his trade secret.
The liquid true serum
Almost came out.
and then I caught myself.
We almost had the exclusive here.
I was just going to hold the can and see what happens.
Let's just say we have some amazing things planned.
Let me pour some more of that worldwide stout for you, Chuck.
Maybe another couple.
right.
But thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Please, thank you. We need to do this again. Thank you for enriching our beer lives, for crying out loud.
And you know, thanks for Dogfish being around and being down here for as many years as you are. You guys were down here a few years before we even got you.
Yep.
You guys remember Tom Mensch from Orange Blossom?
Yeah.
He's the one that brought Dogfish into town when he had his own distributorship.
Oh.
So we can thank him for bringing Dogfish in.
Put him on the shout out list.
Florida crowd.
He is.
Adam Fine.
Him and Adam Fine and Ron. And there's a few of the guys.
Rake,
Ron Rake. There's
He's
a
like
few
the
of the guys
dean.
that sit around.
Linda.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Chuck and I came in a little bit later to introduce you crafts into Orlando and into this area. Chuck actually worked for a distributor before he decided to move on. I'm the only guy that stayed behind and stayed in the distributorship. But so we've been fighting the craft beer fight out here in Orlando and in my territory here for now 12 years, Chuck, trying to bring in the good beers and getting everything all set. So there again, it's all about the partnership with your breweries. It's all about the partnership with the distributors. Make sure you guys are working hand in hand to get you guys the beer out there. And it's not easy, but we're getting it out there, guys. And we appreciate you drinking it and going out there and trying and doing what you got to do. One more thing I want to mention is the local beer, mead, and spirits event that we're having on September 22nd at Copper Bottom.
Yes.
Please make sure you guys come out to that. Also, guys, just found out we are definitely doing the Turkey Rod Run Beer Fest again this year.
Okay.
We got the contract for it. It's going to be the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So that one is everybody. So we should have about 30 breweries out there.
Oh, nice.
On the Daytona 500 in that area there.
Love that.
Kind of
That's
cool
right.
when I picked these guys up in a golf cart. We're going around turn 1 to bring them over there. So we're looking forward to it. So absolutely.
Good to know.
All right.
Absolutely.
Get that golf cart designated driver, too. You need that. That's
We're
right.
going to get the Uber of golf carts that drives itself.
Well, thank you to Dogfish Head. Thank you to SR Pro. Krista. Donnie's Donuts. Thank you. And look, to Stunt Guy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Guy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He went to go find more sequence.
He did, yeah. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend.